Hey guys, welcome to another yoga class. My name is Emily, and today I have for you a prenatal yoga class for just when you are feeling a little bit achy all over. So a few kind of props that I have for today is you will want either some sort of pillow, or I have a yoga bolster, but a big pillow or even a rolled up blanket is just fine. So have that off to the side, and then you don't necessarily have to have blocks, but I really encourage blocks, especially when you get a little bit further along in your pregnancy. It just enhances your practice and lets you move a little bit freer and more comfortably, and it supports you nicely. So if you've got blocks, have them nearby. You could always have something that is box shape or size instead. All right, so then when you are ready, let's have a seat. All right, so just find a comfortable seated position. So always know that if sitting on the ground doesn't feel that good, you could sit up in a chair. So that's always a good option as well. Otherwise, just bring your hands to your lap, roll your shoulders back, and sit up nice and tall, and just kind of assess where you might be feeling achy. So close your eyes for a moment. Take a big breath in. Let it go. And just see if you can start to soften. Soften the shoulders, the face, the hands. And maybe even soften the belly and the low back, right? We need a little bit of engagement here because we need to stay upright. We need to stay tall through the spine, but that doesn't mean we have to be rigid, right? We can still find a little bit of ease in the pose. And take one more big breath in. Breath out. Hands can stay on your knees or your shins or wherever it feels most supportive for you. And we're just going to start to stir the spine a bit. So we're just going to bring the rib cage off to the side and then press it through center, and then off to the other side, and then a slight rounding towards the back. Okay, so just this kind of big circle with the spine. And we'll do this a few times. So make it a nice easy circle, right? We're not forcing some big range of motion, but just a little bit of movement is fine. And then switch directions of that circle. And then come back through center, sit up tall, take a big breath in, breath out. Bring the hands in front of you and just walk the hands forward, a little or a lot, right? It could be just a teeny tiny bit, and we get a nice stretch for the hips. You could even kind of wiggle your hips a little bit side to side if that feels good. And then rise back up. Bring your hands behind you, lean back and lift the heart. Maybe gaze up. So you're really rolling your shoulders back. Big stretch through the chest, through the front of the shoulders, maybe even down the arms. Take a big breath in. Breath out. Relax that a little bit, and then just switch which leg is in front. Okay, so it'll be the weirder way to sit. Okay, so then from here, hands back to your knees. And again, we're just going to find that little bit of a circling with your spine. A few big circles in one direction, and then switch directions. And then come back through center, sit up tall, take a big breath in, and then breath out, hands come forward, maybe walk them forward as you bow down. Again, it doesn't have to be far. And maybe just notice which side feels a little bit tighter perhaps, right? We all tend to have one side that's tighter than the other, and it might tell you a little bit about how you're carrying the baby, right? Where you're kind of favoring one side over the other. Take one more big breath in. Let it go. Walk the hands up, and then once again, just bring the hands behind you. Maybe fingertips point towards the bum. Roll the shoulders back, lean back into the hands, and just lift the heart and gaze. And take one more big breath in. Breath out. And then rise back up through center. So we're going to stay in a seated position, but we're going to extend the left leg out long. The right foot can stay bent in, and the right foot can come inside of that left thigh. So both sit bones are grounding down. Roll your shoulders back. And then bring that left hand down. Maybe even the left forearm can rest on the left thigh if that feels okay. But then bring your right hand to your rib cage. We're going to kind of spiral the rib cage open so we come into a little bit of a twist. We're spiraling the rib cage towards the right. And then reach that right arm up. Take a big breath in. And then breath out, side body stretch. So reach the right fingers towards the left toes. You don't have to lean very far, right? Maybe you're sitting up nice and upright, and that's okay. You can still get that nice side body stretch and a big shoulder stretch. So breathe into the right rib cage. Take a big breath in. Full breath out. And then bring that right hand down right behind that right hip. Reach the left arm up and over. So again, side body stretch. And then a few times back and forth between these two poses. So let's take a big breath in here. And then breath out. Let's bring that left arm down and reach the right arm up. And just go back and forth with your breath. Inhale to rise up. And then exhale, that left arm down, right arm reaches up and over. And maybe you're moving the opposite of me. That's okay, right? The breath can be, different. That's just fine. Let's just do one more. And then rise up through center. So bring that right hand back behind that right hip again. So where we were before, right? But this time bring your left hand across to that right knee. And then we'll inhale to grow taller. And exhale, maybe you twist a little bit deeper and look over the right shoulder. This doesn't have to be a big twist, right? That left hand on the right thigh is very lightly supporting you. Maybe it's pulling you into a little bit more of a twist. Take a big breath in. Let it go. Then come back through center. Bring that left foot back in. Bring the soles of your feet together. Hands to your ankles or your shins. Inhale to sit up tall. And then exhale, fold down over the legs. Just for a moment. And then rise back up. And then this time we'll extend the right leg out, the opposite leg out. That left foot can stay in. It can come to inside that right thigh. And then sit up tall, roll the shoulders back. Bring that right hand down or maybe the right forearm down. And then sweep that left arm up and then over. So it's reaching towards the right toes. Right, remember we're kind of opening up through the rib cage. So we're staying nice and open. It's like we're trying to get that left shoulder open towards the ceiling. It might not get all the way there, right? That's okay. But we're just opening up. And then nice big breaths in and out. Then on your next inhale, rise back up. Plant that left hand behind the left hip somewhere for support. Reach that right arm up and over. And then a few times back and forth. So bring that right forearm down or the right hand down. Inhale, sweep the left arm up and over. And then just back and forth between these two poses. So always moving at a pace and in a way that works for you, right? If something doesn't feel good, you can skip it. You could modify it. Let's do it one more time. And then we'll rise back up through center, but then once again, plant that left hand behind the left hip. Take the right hand across the body to the left knee. Then inhale to grow taller. Exhale, maybe you twist deeper, look over the left shoulder. And take a big breath in. And then breath out, unwind. And we're gonna make our way all the way to our tabletop position. So you can get there however you want, all fours, right? So come to your tabletop. Wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath of hips, and then a really light toning of the belly. So we're not letting the low back sag, right? We're keeping the belly still a little bit kind of engaged here, hugging the baby up and in. And then just start to take your hips in circles. So we're just gonna kind of circle them around, make these big stirring motion here. And again, go nice and slow. So if when your hips are over to one side, maybe that really feels good, you could stay there for a moment, right? Let that stretch linger and breathe into it. Or you could just kind of keep moving. You could take the knees as wide as the mat if that feels good. And then switch directions of your circles if you haven't already. And then come back through center. If the knees aren't underneath of the hips, go ahead and bring them back under. And then we're gonna step our right foot forward to a low lunge. So I really like blocks for this, right? So I'm gonna put my hands on blocks. It's gonna give me that little bit of extra room to step my right foot forward. So it gives my belly that extra space. And then hands can be on blocks or hands can be on the ground. It kind of whatever works for you. But we do want the right knee more or less over the right ankle. And then press the hips forward. And then maybe ease up and pull the hips back a little bit. We're just gonna kind of ease our way into this. So we're gonna press the hips a bit forward and then ease back out. So it's just a little bit of movement. Right, so if hands are on the ground and not on blocks, then there's a very good chance that you want both of your hands on the inside of the right foot, which might mean that you take the right foot out towards the edge of the mat. So that's fine too, right? Give the belly the space that it needs. Let's do it a few more times, just kind of pulsing in and out. And then we'll come into this low lunge, but this time everybody brings hands inside of that right foot. So if you were up on your blocks and hands were kind of around that front foot, we're just gonna bring the right hand inside of the right foot. Okay, so from here, I want you to lean into your left hand, take your right hand to that right thigh, and then if it feels okay, start to press that right knee out a little bit. As you do so, let the right foot go out too. So the inner edge of my right foot is kind of coming off of the mat. And I'm just finding this little bit of movement. Again, you could find stillness. You could still be pulsing in and out of the pose. If this doesn't feel good, then you skip it. All right, let's do one more. And then come back through center, plant the hands. We're just gonna go back to tabletop. So however you need to get there, we're gonna bring that right knee back. Take just a few kind of wiggles through the hips side to side or in those big circles again. And then we're gonna switch sides. So we're gonna step the left foot forward. So left foot comes forward in between the hands. If hands are on blocks, then you could certainly have the left hand outside of that left foot. If hands are not on blocks, then maybe wiggle that left foot out to the side, give yourself a bit more space, and hands are both on the inside of that left foot. Okay, then wherever you are, left knee over left ankle, maybe we start to pulse. Press the hips forward, and then ease out a bit. Right, and yoga is really, for me, more of an exploratory practice anyway. So, you can certainly just hold a pose. You can certainly just do the same thing every time you come. But day to day, my body feels different in each pose. And so, finding a little bit of movement and really seeing what feels good for you. Remembering not to push too far. Let's do one or two more kind of pulses in and out. And then if you're not there already, we're gonna bring the left hand inside of the left foot. Okay, so again, I'll show you this from a different angle so you can kind of see where we're at here. But both hands are inside of that left foot. I'm gonna take my right hand out to the right, plant and take the weight into that right hand, and then take my left hand to my left thigh and just ever so slightly maybe start to press that left knee away. As I do that, the left toes are kind of pointing in the same direction as the knee. So everything's kind of staying in a line here. Let's do one more. And then we'll bring that left hand back down, and then however you need to get there, tabletop once again. Just swing that left leg back around. Come to tabletop. And then again, just maybe sway the hips a little bit side to side. Check back in. Remember, hugging the belly in. Not letting everything hammock through the lower back. All right. Then from here, just a side plank pose. So we're going to do a modified side plank. So I want you to pivot the right foot off of the mat. So it's going to go off to the side. And then you're going to take your weight into the right hand and extend the left leg out long. Left arm reaches up. So I've got more or less a straight line between my right hand, my right knee, and my left foot. Left arm reaches up, but then actually reach it over so it reaches towards the top of your mat, past your left ear. So you get this really beautiful side body stretch. Right, so take a big breath in, breath out. Remember, slight engagement of the belly, so we're not letting it all hang out. We're keeping the baby hugged nice and in. One more big breath in. And then breath out nice and slow. Come back through that tabletop, but just to transfer right to the other side. So this time that left foot pivots off the mat. The right foot steps out long. So now I've got that straight line between left hand, left knee, right foot. Right arm reaches up, and then it reaches over towards the top of the mat. Feel that whole side body lengthen. Take a big breath in. Breath out, and then nice and slow, come back through center. And we're just gonna find a seat again. So bring the bum back down. Cobbler's pose once again. So soles of the feet together, knees go out wide, hands can come to your ankles or your shins. Inhale to grow taller, and then exhale, fold down. And once again, you could find a little bit of movement, right? You can kind of move through the hips. If the elbows come down to the thighs and it feels okay, you could always kind of press your legs away from you. And then we'll rise back up. And this is where we're gonna want our pillow. So I'm gonna show you a few different ways to do this. And know that if you're really, really late in your pregnancy and it doesn't feel good to lay on your back, you could always lay on maybe your left side and use the pillow underneath of your belly for support and just kind of relax that way. But for most people, this does tend to feel pretty good. So we're gonna find a supported fish pose. So first, you could, if you're feeling quite open, you could just use just the pillow, right? And then you would bring the pillow or the bolster right to the back of your hips here, and then just slowly start to ease yourself down. So you're gonna lay back on the pillow, right? Soles of the feet together, perhaps knees out wide, so our Baddha Konasana legs, and then arms just can relax by your side. So a really nice way to open up through the whole front body and help relax your back muscles as well. However, if this doesn't feel quite right, we can offer a little bit more support. So then if you have a block or a second pillow, right, take that block or second pillow and just prop up your first one with it so it has a little bit more of this kind of upward angle. And you can do that with as many blocks or pillows or blankets as you need, right? And then once again, we'll just kind of lean back. Baddha Konasana legs, or if that doesn't feel so good, right, maybe you bend the knees, plant the soles of the feet, walk the pinky toes towards the edge of the mat, and then let your knees fall in on each other. And then we just relax. So take a big breath in, let it go. And And just notice if there's anywhere in the body that you're still holding on to tension, right? So we tend to always be kind of protecting ourselves and the baby, so we tend to be quite tense. So just see if you can start to relax, right? Relax the shoulders. See if you can relax through the waist, the hips, the low back, and even the belly. And maybe even notice if it's at this part of your practice that your baby starts to get involved. So for me, when I'm actively moving about and doing my yoga practice, the baby is oftentimes, still and kind of, I guess, sleeping, right? But then once I become still, then it's the baby's turn to do some yoga. So notice if you start getting any kicks, you could always give a little bit of a finger poke back, gently let your baby know that you hear them. But just kind of enjoy this time. If you're comfortable as you are, I want you to stay there for as long as you want. If you want just one more stretch on each side, then bring your knees up towards the ceiling, so soles of the feet plant on the ground. But then start to walk your pinky toes towards the edges of the mat. And if it feels okay, let both of your knees fall to the left. So that right hip is going to come off of the mat. And that's okay. You're going to kind of lean towards the left. But feel this big side body stretch into the right side body. And then gently come back through center and let your knees fall to the right. So again, if you're further along in your pregnancy, maybe this doesn't feel so comfortable, and then you just skip it. And then come back through center. Let the knees fall in on each other. And let's take one more big breath in. Let it go. Yet again, you can stay here as long as you want, but if you're ready, roll to your side and then press yourself up to a seat. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you feel a little bit of release and a little bit more relaxed than when you started. If you like this video, please give it a like, comment below with what you enjoyed and what you maybe want more of. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Namaste.